My name is Jason Gillespie. I was in the Army National Guard for 2 years, joined the Marine Corps in 1990, served on active duty until 1994. My EAS on my contract was in 1998.
Chris Gillespie, Sergeant First Class for the Army. I was an infantry platoon sergeant. I served from 1996 to 2017.
At the time, I was in high school, doing my weekend time with the National Guard. And at the time, I went out looking to go active duty. When I returned back from boot camp from the Army and AIT and Airborne School, that particular branch was supposed to be the elite. I joined that branch. My stepfather at the time did not want me to go in the Marine Corps. Him and I did not have a great relationship. Therefore, it kind of pushed me in that direction. For me, I had just come from infantry training in the Army, and being out of Airborne School, I was gung-ho. I was all about the military. So the Marine Corps seemed like a better fit for me because everything that's ever been raved about the Marine Corps was they are the elite of all the branches.
I joined the Army because I didn't have a lot of options growing up in the small town in Iowa. But I'd also seen that my grandparents and my brother had joined the military, and it just seemed like the right thing to do.
Well, I went to boot camp in San Diego, went to MCT, Marine Corps Combat Training at SOI, School of Infantry in California. From there, I went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I was there for 8 weeks for school as a heavy equipment operator. And then from there, I went to Quantico, Virginia. From there, I went to Okinawa, Japan on what the Marine Corps called back then a hardship tour. At the time, I was married. My spouse was not allowed to go with me. I was a corporal by that time, E4. And so I got sent to Okinawa, Japan.
In 2001, I was stationed in Kuwait. I was on Ali Al Salim Air Base. We were Patriot missile security for the base. So basically, we just did guard duty in towers and watched the perimeter. And we also held the entry control point into the Patriot missile site. It was pretty boring most of the time. It would get very hot during the day and very cold during the night. I was certified in scuba diving while I was there in the Persian Gulf. Really, that was pretty much the gist of that tour. In 2004 through 2005, I deployed with the Iowa Army National Guard to Afghanistan in the Paktika province, which is on the eastern side. Being there for a year in country, we went through all of this season. So once it started snowing, it was kind of a good thing because the enemy kind of went in and didn't really want to fight just because of the climate. It wouldn't work real well for them just because they didn't have the supplies and resources that we as U.S. soldiers had. There were times we'd ran into IEDs and rocket attacks and mortar attacks. I was in a small arms ambush on our convoy on November 1st, 2004, where we lost a couple guys. Well, we lost one guy and a couple guys went out on medevac because they were wounded. 07, 08, I went to Balad, Iraq. I was a vehicle commander for logistics supply runs from Scania up through Baghdad up to Speicher. We go past Tikrit and Samara. Up there were a couple of bypasses where they were predominantly known to have IEDs go off and hit. Our convoy had been hit several times. My vehicle never got directly hit, but I was close enough to feel the impact. It's pretty impressive to see it and to feel it, and it's pretty amazing. In 2012 and 2013, I went to Afghanistan again, but this side it was on the west side of Afghanistan in Herat province. I was the Base Defense Operations Center's battle captain for Shindand Air Base. This was a little bit different for me because I had gone from a tactical position into an operational position. The tools and resources that were available to me were just insane, and it gave me a better idea of how tactical operations commands worked as versus when I was outside of the bases on missions.
What sets our branch apart from all the other branches is esprit de corps. It's number one. The Marine Corps is a brotherhood, and it doesn't matter if you served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War, the war of today in Iraq or Afghanistan. Doesn't matter. We're all brothers, and that is, the Marine Corps is based on that. Once you become a Marine, any other Marine that has ever served is your brother. And to this day, I've been out for 20 plus years, and I can be wearing this shirt or wearing any other Marine Corps shirt anywhere. And if another Marine recognizes the shirt or recognizes, a hat I'm wearing or whatever, or the plates on my pickup truck, they say Semper Fi. Marines are taught that you are the elite. You are better than everybody else. There is an arrogance that goes with the title, because it's the only branch that makes you earn becoming Marine. And your Marine means that I am a Marine, and that is something that you will never, ever take away from me. And you earn it. When I was in, you were not allowed to get your Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, which is the epitome of the Marine Corps. You didn't even get to wear it until you graduated. You weren't even given it until you were graduated. Marine Corps boot camp, you were not allowed to call yourself a Marine until after graduation day. You were a recruit. You weren't even a private because you hadn't earned the ability to call yourself a rank. So it is an achievement per each human being that goes through it that is above anything you could ever think of.
I think being in the Army National Guard is vastly different from the other branches. Obviously, we all have our own jobs and tasks to do. I think the Army National Guard differs in the idea that basically everybody in our platoon or our company, they're not only having a skill set of just being an infantryman, they've also got the skill set of plumbers and HVAC technicians, carpenters, police officers, just the whole spectrum. So, for example, when we went to Afghanistan in 04 and 05, we were told, hey, you're going to this grid coordinate out in the mountains. And we got there and there was literally nothing but a big mud wall that surrounded where we were going to be. There was no toilets, there was no housing, there was no nothing. With that, we had carpenters with us, we had HVAC guys, and little by little stuff would get sent to us, but we were able to build an entire compound and have it secured and have security set up all while building this place until our main site was built 6 months later. So for 6 months, we lived in this mud hut using camping showers, diesel cans for toilets, washing our clothes in buckets of water, and then we would hang them up. And then traditionally, every single time we would do that, there was a dust storm that would come through. So washing our uniforms was kind of pointless. But there was a sense of cleanliness, so I guess we did it anyway.
One of the big impacts, political or world events that happened was Desert Storm. I was at a SOI, School of Infantry, when Desert Storm first started. When we first thought Hussein had biological, chemical weapons.
I take the fact that he develops weapons of mass destruction very seriously. I remember the fact that he has invaded 2 countries before. I know for a fact that he's poisoned his own people. He doesn't believe in the worth of each individual. He doesn't believe in public dissent.
1 week before graduation, battalion commander put us all in formation and said that we were all of our MOSs had been frozen, and we are all now 0311, which was infantry. And when I was there, 1st Marine Division was going through SOI, picking up all of their gear because they were shipping off to Iraq, Kuwait, for Desert Shield. They were issuing 6 body bags and 4 chemical suits per Marine and a full combat load of ammunition at that time, because they thought the casualties were going to be way over what Vietnam ever was. That was a huge event for us, because I signed up to be a heavy equipment operator, and now all of a sudden I'm going in the infantry. For us, that was a real-time deal. You know, we went through boot camp. We were Marines, and you know, Marines' motto is first to fight, meaning that the president can send the Marine Corps in to anywhere in the world at any time without approval of the Congress. So we are called the president's own for that simple reason. So for us, you know, at that time, it was a real deal. You know, you spent all this time training, and now all of a sudden there's a real stage for us to actually do what we were called to do. And nothing had come before that except for Vietnam. So we're talking 20 some years. So the U.S. being involved in this was a huge deal for us as Marines. Fast forward, President Clinton was elected as our president the last year in my Marine Corps tour, and the political involvement that happened within the military at that point really changed the way the military is to this day.
We can't do everything, but we must do what we can. There are times and places where our leadership can mean the difference between peace and war, and where we can defend our fundamental values as a people and serve our most basic strategic interests. My fellow Americans, in this new era, there are still times when America and America alone can and should make the difference for peace.
He was the first president that actually got involved in military affairs, of policies, procedures, what we did, how we did it, and changed a lot of things. And, you know, it really pushed the military to evolve. Up until that point, we were led by the Joint Chiefs. We were led by the Commandant of the Marine Corps. And we were directed more by those aspects of it, and people that were involved in the military or making military decisions. And then the president got involved into what the Marine Corps or military did at that point. So it made a lot of changes in the military across the board. I applaud the military commanders and stuff that were in during that time and made those decisions. It was swift and it was quick, and we led a devastating blow. You know, since then, a lot of things have come out about Desert Storm, and then, you know, 11 years later, you have 9/11. So, you know, the military changed a lot after 9/11.
So obviously the biggest world event would have been 9/11. I had actually just got home from Kuwait. I had been home 2 or 3 months, and I was working at the National Guard Armory in Council Bluffs. The TV was on in the day room, and we were just carrying on about our business. And everybody's like, holy cow, come look at this. And there it was right there on the TV. And I don't even think that's just military. I think as the United States as a whole, that was a really big thing. And the United States itself is very united and tied together which I think right now is the polar opposite.
I mean,
looking for some
Chris, we don't
conspiracy.
gain anything.
He has all these
Iran is taking
conspiracy
over Iraq.
theories.
Secretary Clinton,
And
Iran
his-
is
his
taking over Iraq.
conspiracy
We don't gain
theories,
anything.
Secretary
which
Clinton.
he's been
We would've
spewing
gained
out
if they did it
for
by surprise.
quite
Wait.
some time.
Secretary Clinton, it's
He
an open
says
discussion.
he
Let
says
Secretary.
We would have gained
now,
if they did it by
Secretary,
surprise.
please
They
let
did not
Mr.
do
Trump
it.
speak.
he's unfit,
Go ahead.
and he proves it every
No,
time
you
he
are the
talks.
one that's unfit.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that.
You know, I hate to see that. I mean, we need this sort of horrendous, atrocious act to happen for American citizens to act like adults and be mature and be kind and caring and loving to their brothers and sisters.
The United States has evolved extensively since 9/11. There's a lot of supporting the troops. Yes, I think a lot of people support what we do. They support the fact that since Vietnam, the military is an entirely voluntary force. It's 100% voluntary. So that means that you, as an 18 or 19-year-old, or as an officer at 24, 25, you have volunteered to say, I'll write the United States a check up to my life for this country. It's a pretty huge commitment. And for any individual in the United States not to support that is wrong, because that's a sacrifice that they wouldn't do, because if they would have. Supporting the military is a whole different scenario. You may not support what the government has sent the troops to do. You know, there's several different things that people protest against, but at the end of the day, what people need to understand is, one, they volunteered to give their life for this country and the freedoms that this country has. You may not agree with the political agenda, but at the end of the day, you need to understand that those troops that voluntarily offered their life, they are going where they are told to go because they've given a life of service. So it's hard for me to see people protesting where we're going or what we're doing or how we're doing it. Don't sit in your couch, look at the TV and armchair quarterback what we're doing. We're there because we're on orders. And we're on orders because we volunteered to be under those orders. So if you don't agree with it, you don't agree with it. That's fine. That's your opinion. But don't discount those that willingly said, I'll go do what you won't do. And for me, that's where it really lies. You know, I volunteered. Christopher volunteered. And we would have given our life if that's what it meant to do. And we wouldn't have given our lives, you know, for some political agenda. We would have given our lives to the guy to the left and the guy to the right. That's what it's all about. We're there to make sure that our brothers in arms are safe. We will give up our lives. It doesn't matter, black, brown, purple, green, it doesn't matter. The Marine Corps is light green, dark green. It doesn't matter. They're green. And for America today, to those that discount what it means for us to serve, is heartbreaking. Because, you know, a lot of us do it out of no other place to go. Can't afford college. Can't find a job. Broken homes. you know, we're running from what we're in. But it doesn't matter the reason we're there. We did volunteer, and we volunteered to give our life if we needed to. And that's something that the general public needs to understand. You know, it's that sense of duty isn't, it can't be bought, and it can't be persuaded. You know, the sense of duty is there because that's how we feel, and we're there because we believe in the Stars and Stripes, and we, you know, I plan to be buried under that flag. I'm a veteran. I deserve it. I gave my time. You know, so for me, it's an honor. It's an honor for me to say that I served. I defended that flag. I defended that time. You know, and for them to discount that is heartbreaking. To see where this country has gone and being divided in that regard, I think is wrong. The generation of World War II being the greatest generation ever, I agree with that. Because they all believed in all the servicemen and women that were going to fight for the United States and to keep the world as a place free of tyranny. And, you know, for the United States to be what it is, I think that's what makes this country as great as it does. Because there are women and men willing to stand up and say, I'll give you my life for the freedoms that this country has.
So by seeing Jason go through the military when I was, 10, 11 years old, obviously impressionable.
During my time that I went to Army boot camp, Christopher had sent me several letters. He called me G.I. Joeson, is what he called me, because G.I. Joe was big back then.
He would send me letters and postcards from Fort Benning, Georgia, of, the airborne towers and just some of the things that he was doing. And, growing up out in the middle of nowhere in Iowa, that's new stuff. It's exciting. It's, not middle of a cornfield, Iowa.
When I came home, there's 8 years difference between us. So he kind of looked up to me and what I was doing at that time. And Christopher and I have always been very close. So my time during when I joined the Marine Corps and things, I think as Christopher grew up, seeing I was away from home, so I wasn't much in his life once I had left, but he saw the path that I was on, which I think I had a huge influence in him to join the National Guard in Iowa.
So I found it interesting, and the way he talked about it, and he was very passionate about his military service, and I always thought, well, then maybe that's a route that I should go. So
basically followed in my footsteps, because he joined very early as well during high school. And I think that for him, he saw that I was gone from the house and doing my thing and those types of things, and I think it kind of led him. I almost actually looked for him to go active duty eventually, and lo and behold, he did. But I don't think it was he stayed in the reserve unit, but he volunteered for every active duty mission he could. And I think it was his way of getting that active duty time during his deployment, his deployments and things that he did. I don't know if it was directly related to my time in the military, but for him, I think he had a sense of duty, and his sense of duty is tremendous. It's hard for me to sit here and bash the Army because of what I see in him. His commitment to duty and to his troops is, it's something that every leader that's in the military would look for. After his deployment to Afghanistan, he came back. He was living with me at the time, and he had joined a unit here in Texas, reserve unit, National Guard still. He had just gotten back from a really bad deployment in Afghanistan. He didn't have to go. The unit that he transferred to in Texas was activated to go to Iraq.
I mean, I think that there is the brother connection of him as I continue to go on tour after tour, that he didn't like it, but he understood it. Like anybody with their brother, they're just going to try to be supportive and say, good luck, Godspeed.
Mission is that they are to be 2 years or 18 months between deployments. He was about 9 months. He didn't have to go. I was trying to get him to stay because he was still affected from his last deployment. And he looked me in the eye that night and said, brother, I'm the only one in this unit in Texas that has any combat experience. I have to go. If I can save one life during this trip, I'll endure it. And to this day, I've never been more proud of a man that I was that day. He didn't care about himself. He cared about his troops. He didn't even know these troops that well. He didn't care. They were troops. They were under his command. And he was willing to go put himself in harm's way for that. That is a side of the military that most people don't see. It's never about the political side of right and wrong. It's always about the man to your left and the man to your right. They're your brothers or your brothers in arms. And if it's you being there to protect them, then that's what you do. And that's something that most civilians that have never been in the military or in a military environment will ever understand. And for him, it meant the world to him. He didn't know him. He had only been with that unit for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months. That's it. In 1 weekend a month, it's hard to form any relationships. He didn't care. So if my military career had any impact on him, I don't know for a fact. But the fact that he did join, and he had that sense of duty, if it was because of me, then that makes me even prouder. Because, who knows how many lives he might have saved when he was over there, just by keeping them on the right path.